Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Joe Lemon. Thank you so much for tuning into the Sales Culture Show. And so if this is your first time visiting this station or this channel, wherever you're consuming this content, first off, I want to thank you for taking a moment. Two, this is going to be a different episode because I got to pay homage. I got to give tribute to the king. I'm talking about Martin Luther King. This is on King's Day. And I really just want to start off by sharing a couple clips of some speeches that aren't that necessarily talked about as much. We all talk about I Have a Dream speech, but the ones that really ring home to me the most, and which I think is relevant for this channel and this content, is the one where he talks about the redistribution of wealth and this Poor People's Campaign, and just the importance of just the nation recognizing the power that we have to take to make things right within ourselves first, and really go about doing the hard work and making sure that everyone has equal opportunities. So check this out.
We must also realize that the problems of racial injustice and economic injustice cannot be solved without a radical redistribution of political and economic power.
We read one day, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But if a man doesn't have a job or an income, he has neither life nor liberty and the possibility for the pursuit of happiness. He merely exists. All labor has dignity. Yes. But you're doing another thing. You are reminding not only Memphis, but you are reminding the nation that it is a crime for people to live in this rich nation and receive starvation wages. America's opportunity to help bridge the gulf between the haves and the have-nots. And the question is whether America will do it. There's nothing new about poverty. What is new is that we now have the techniques and the resources to get rid of poverty. And the real question is whether we have the will. And I come here tonight and plead with you. Believe in yourself and believe that you're somebody. And as I said to a group last night, nobody else can do this for us. No document can do this for us. No Lincolnian Emancipation Proclamation can do this for us. No Kennysonian or Johnsonian Civil Rights Bill can do this for us. If the Negro is to be free, he must move down into the inner resources of his own soul and sign with a pen and ink of self-assertive manhood his own Emancipation Proclamation. Don't let anybody take your manhood. Be proud of our heritage. As somebody said earlier tonight, we don't have anything to be ashamed of. Somebody told a lie one day. They couched it in language. They made everything black, ugly, and evil. Look in your dictionary and see the synonyms of the word black. There's always something degrading and low and sinister. Look at the word white. It's always something pure, high, and clean. But I want to get the language right tonight. I want to get the language so right that everybody here will cry out, yes, I'm black, I'm proud of it, I'm black and beautiful.
I gotta tell you, Dr. King is easily one of the most impactful people to me as far as leaders outside of the direct family members that I can see have made sacrifices for me. And he represents so much for our community, for the whole nation as a whole, right? It's just that one of those leaders that showed people how to deal with and confront issues head on. And so I want to make it real because there's some things that are happening in today's space outside of politics and that's some of the heavy stuff that's going on in the world, but some things that are happening in your control right now on the job that I feel like a lot of us can really embody. So there's this pivot and this transition and this repositioning of what it means to go to work. But what has this behavior change built up to become? Well, it's changed a lot, actually, especially for those in the sales and marketing world. And I believe that, there's such a big movement that is happening, this undercurrent that I feel that maybe they haven't outlined yet. And I say they, I mean us, the establishment, recruiters and people that have create job titles, executives, so forth, managers. We haven't figured out how to go about labeling it yet, but there's a clear movement that people that create content and can gain awareness bring extra value to the company. It's not rocket science. This is pretty common stuff here, so I'm not breaking the internet. With that being said, you almost have to imagine if they're adding value and awareness to the company, that's going to translate into a more concrete position and role and compensation to match. It's only a matter of time. And there's no question about whether people are working full-time jobs and freelancing, have side gigs, side hustles, whatever you want to label it, and they're building up their own massive empires that they have 100% control over. So my thought is this. It would be like ridiculous for companies not to take advantage of this movement where you have personal brands in your organization that are spending time off hours, like myself, right? So I'm a little selfish here with this, but this is what I'm not seeing only from me. This is not a one-way conversation. There's bukus of top LinkedIn voices out there and Instagram influencers that have built up lucrative businesses on the side while working full-time at a company that they could be having more of an impact at if they were leveraged properly and compensated properly so it was a win-win. And we're at this place where there is this redistribution of power. It's where we're at. And, the more I think about it, the more I believe that this is something that's going to catch differently. And I was thinking about this, and I wanted to pose this question when I was on the Clubhouse app, but it didn't get brought to the stage. But I was thinking okay, Instagram influencers operate one way, right? They do brand deals. They do a post about a product. They say that they like it, but we all kind of know that they got paid to do the post. And who knows, they may like it. Podcast advertisers, I live in this space. You go out, you find a company, you link it up with the right podcaster. They do some live host reads about it. They may hate it, love it. They know that they're being compensated to a degree, right? But there's a level of trust, and you hope that the host is operating in integrity and just not going to fluff his audience, right? Getting a check is not bigger than keeping your reputation, and that matters the most when it comes to looking at your reputation on how you earn a living. So B2B, I think, is even going to be a little bit different with how it does this B2B influencing, right? It's not probably going to be, hey, I pay you to go promote a product because that's your name on the line. There's different things that come into play, like conflict of interest if they operate in your industry. There's some more layers of red tape. So what I'm thinking is that there will be a movement. If it hasn't already happened, maybe I'm late to the party, and this could be it. If so, please, someone comment, let me know, get me caught up. But I haven't seen it outlined in detail yet. But to me, there will be a movement when B2B influencers are going to start getting brand deals that won't look like how it looks on Instagram, but instead it's going to be like a SDR who's a top influencer is now going to be recruited by a company where they're already doing work in, or say an industry where they already have a good following and they're respected and they're loved and people trust them, they have a following, that a company that says, look, I'm gonna pay them double the current SDR rate because they have a huge following on LinkedIn. I don't see why that wouldn't happen. You go from your typical SDR, was it base of like $60,000 or $75,000 plus commission? I mean, I think you could probably justify it if the numbers show on the back end and they have enough traction and they're willing to keep up the actual work of promoting and just having conversations in that industry, still doing what they're doing anyway outside of their 9 to 5. They split that time in half 20 hours SDR, 20 hours content creation. I mean, it makes sense to me that this is going to be the move and how B2B is going to play. It's not going to be your typical, hey, I pay you for a post, right? It's not going to be that. It's not going to be for the podcaster. I give you the ad dollars to do a live host to read. I think instead it's going to play out in more of a traditional recruiting role where people will pick and choose which organizations they want to partner with by working with them and just have that agreement that they're going to keep producing content in the fashion that they have, whether it's podcasts, posting, blogging, whatever they do, YouTube videos, whatever. So my thing is that, to bring it back to MLK's speech, right, and there's this redistribution of power for content creators if they're interested in doing this. I mean, I think that they'll have a lot of leverage because there's going to be a lot of demand for the top voices to come to organizations that want to have those players, those A players on their team. Companies have always wanted A players to produce, but if you can see someone's and validate their actual following, validate their engagement, that's something that you really couldn't do before like that. I mean, yes, I remember I've brought POs of businesses that have closed to people, but there's no really way to know that it's going to directly translate in that industry. That was kind of tough from the business standpoint. But if you work in healthcare and you have a big following in healthcare already of healthcare providers, and you're dropping content and just giving away value and people love what you're up to, and we can work out a deal that says, look, keep doing what you're doing. We're going to pay you more to produce more content, support that movement. You still control the IP. We're not taking it over or anything like that, but we'll pay you to keep doing what you're doing under our company because people will find out who you're with organically. I think that's going to just play out in the favor of the content producers or the employees or freelancers, however that situation looks. So this brings me to my brand new point, right? You know, just like Martin Luther King was talking about, there's a redistribution and the restructuring that we had to have happen and still happening, right, when it comes to race relations and economic empowerment. And I think there's a huge opportunity for more of us to take part in that by having more influence and keep doing what we're doing. And there's going to be a movement of adding more layers of structure as companies begin to understand the ROI of bringing on A players onto your organization and having them do what they do regardless happen and let the cars lay where they lay and let things play out organically. That's going to lead to more business, lead to more traction to their brand. I would love to get some thoughts on this conversation. This is new. I would love to be educated more about this. So if you have insight on this, please reach out to me, drop some comments below. Follow me on the Sales Culture YouTube channel. It's a brand new thing that I'm getting into. So I'm working on this content in off hours, right? Practicing what I'm preaching here. And so with that said, thank you so much for tuning into the Sales Culture Show. Please like and subscribe. Tell a friend about the content. If you're listening on the Apple Podcast, leave a review. Just share it with people, man. It just means so much to me. And I'll keep trying to challenge us to actually grow and keep thinking about how we can become better. Until next time.